Is it just me, or is it today's cars are absolutely awful, horrible looking, drab cars that we've got today? Can you imagine in 40 years' time, like for example, there's a car show and some of today's cars become classics? Do you really think these cars are going to be highly desirable in 40 years' time? Do you imagine people would attend a car show to go and look at today's modern cars? Is it just me? Please let me know. How do you feel about today's new cars? Because to me, they're just so drab, so boring. It's very difficult to tell who makes a particular car in this day and age. When I think back to when I was a child and growing up, it was very, very easy to tell which brand was which. Every car had a very distinctive design and look to it. But today that's all gone, isn't it? It just seems like there's a couple of manufacturers that are making cars for other manufacturers, but the design is just very slightly different. But underneath, it's still basically the same car. But the thing I think that really bugs me the most out of today's modern cars is the size of them. They're all absolutely huge tanks, aren't they? And some of them are just so hideously ugly to look at. Another thing that about today's cars, I don't know if you've noticed it as well, but we don't seem to have the variety of colours like we used to have back there in the 80s. All today's cars, it all seems to be this sort of dark grey colour, blacks. Very, very dull. Not very nice to look at, is it? Like I said, when I think back to cars of the 70s and the 80s, how colourful and bright. We had far more of a choice in paint finishes than what we get today, isn't it? And today's cars, they just don't do nothing for me. As I say, I think the thing that really does bug me the most is the size of them. Those of us that drive on the roads here in the UK at the moment, we just know the awful condition of the roads here, aren't we? It's just like pothole galore in the UK, isn't it? It's probably smoother to drive on the moon than what it is to currently drive on many of the roads here in Britain. There's just potholes everywhere that are damaging your wheels and tyres on a constant basis, aren't they? How many people do you see complaining that they've just got a new puncture yet again in their car because of the condition of the roads here? We pay so much tax when we fill up our car with petrol, don't we? We just pay so much tax, and yet we see the conditions of the road just seem to get worse and worse on a daily basis, isn't it? Every time it seems to rain, it seems like more of the road gets washed away. I'm sure the weight of these new modern EV cars are the cause of the great amount of problems that we face on the roads today. When we think of the cars from the 80s, they were so much lighter, weren't they, than the cars that we've got today. Today's cars with that battery are just so heavy. And then I look at some of these new Chinese cars that seem to be all the rage at the moment. I can't think of the name of them. DBY, something like that off the top of my head. Huge, ugly, brute of a looking things. Really are. Hideous looking cars. Again, it's as a Generation Xer who grew up in the 80s, I just love cars from that decade. I grew up in Essex. And in Essex, there was a Ford factory in Dagenham. And both my grandparents, my grandfathers, both worked for Ford. So for me, I've got a history of growing up around Ford cars. And I absolutely loved those cars that we had in the 1980s. They bring back so much fond memories. And the demand for these cars is still high. Even if you're lucky enough to still see a car from the 1980s on the road, you can guarantee it'll get people talking. It will get people's heads turning as they look and admire those old classic vintage cars. But when we think of today's cars, like I say, in 40 years, there's nobody that's going to want to pay a lot of money for these cars, even if they're still maintained and kept on the road. People aren't going to turn their head in 30 years' time and look at a EV car, are they? It's just really not going to happen. So where did it all go wrong? Why has it gone so wrong? Again, let's go back to the 80s. Let's travel back in time to the 80s and some of those classic cars of the 1980s. Now, being a young person in the 80s, obviously the hot hatches appealed to me. Like I said, in Essex, there was a lot of Ford cars. Virtually everybody in the 80s in Essex would own a Ford car. And being 10 in 1980, I don't really remember the release because Ford in 1980, they released the XR3, and the XR3 became a car that all young teenagers craved and desired. But as I said, I was only 10 years old when the XR3 was actually released. But I do remember my uncle actually had a Ford Mexico. I can't remember exactly how old I was when I became interested in cars, because in England, in the UK, you can start to learn to drive at 16 years old. So I was obviously must have been about 14, I think, when I became interested in cars. And like I said, the most desirable car of that time period, hot hatch wise, without a shadow of doubt, would have been cars like the Golf GTI. The Peugeot, I think it was a Peugeot 205 GTI, and obviously the Ford Escort XR3. There was also the Fiesta XR2, but to me the Fiesta XR2 was never the same as the XR3. It was like the poor man's XR3. The XR3 came out, like I said, in 1980. It came out on a W plate and an X plate in 1981, and in 1982 it would have been a Y plate, and there were a few XR3s on Y plates, but at that point Ford upgraded the XR3 to the XR3i. The XR3 only had a 4-speed gearbox, and the suspension setup on it was rather odd. The camber of the front wheels, it kind of sat a little bit funny on the road. But with the XR3i, all of that had been improved by Ford. And at the same time, Ford released, to me, the more desirable of the car, just had that special look about it, was the RS 1600i. Now, you would go down to Southend on a weekend and they would have I can't think of the name of what it was that they used to have there on a Saturday, where the cars used to drive up and down on the seafront. And you used to see all those hot hatches of that time. You used to see the XR2s, the XR3s, the XR3is, the Renault 5 turbos, the Peugeots, the Golfs. They'd all be there. Cruise Night, it's come to me, that was the name of it. Southend Cruise Night. And all these fantastic cars would all be on show, and the crowds would absolutely love watching these cars go up and down. We were spoilt even more in 1985 when Ford released that awesome beast, the Sierra Cosworth. What a car that was. And 40 years later, that car is still in high demand, and the prices demanded for the Cosworth, the Sierra Cosworth, is absolutely astronomical. The prices of them would make your eyes water how much they go for these days. So it's clear to see that there is a love and fondness and good memories of those cars from the 1980s, or even before the 1980s, when you would, like I say, you would have the Mark 1 Mexicos or the RS 2000s. People love to look at those old vintage Fords and old hot hatches of those time. Young lads of my age, it was our goal to always own one of these cars, but they were always just slightly out of reach for us. And one of the reasons that they became out of reach was because they were nicked on a daily basis. 1 minute it would be there outside where you left it parked or outside your front of your house, and the next minute it would be gone. You just couldn't leave a Sierra Cosworth anywhere. Blink and someone would have nabbed it. And the next thing you know, you're minus a Sierra Cosworth. And the knock-on effect of all these cars being stolen was that basically you just could not insure them. Insurance companies put such a massive premium on these cars that no one was able to afford them. So when you look back at adverts of Sierra Cosworths, XR3i's, RS16i's, Ford Capris, back at that time area, people were basically giving these cars away. It is so cheap, the price that people were commanding for those cars back there in, 1990. Basically, you couldn't give these fantastic fast Fords away. Getting back again to today's cars, can you imagine people wanting an EV in 30 or 40 years' time? There's just going to be absolutely zero demand for them, isn't there? They've got no soul, have they? Driving an EV. What do you think? What do you feel? What do you prefer? Do you prefer an EV? Or do you prefer those good old days of driving around in ICE cars? Let me know, which one do you prefer? Because to me, EVs, when my car finishes, my car's still a petrol, I'd say I've spent my whole life driving Fords for work. I had a Ford Connect, a Ford Fiesta van. I've always had little Ford Fiestas. I just love small cars, and for where I live here in the southwest of the UK, there's so many country roads, and a small little car is ideal for the roads that we've got here because, like I said, they're so narrow. Some of them in this part of the UK, you think to yourself, what on earth do I want one of these huge EVs for? How am I going to get up and down these tiny little country roads that are just surrounded by farmland? How am I going to get around in this massive EV tank? Just doesn't make any logical sense for me at all. So let me know your feelings about today's car. Which do you prefer? Those old vintage, those old hot hatches? Or do you prefer today's EV? Those old cars, another thing about those old cars as well. Old cars, you could fix them. And it was cheap. A light bulb went in your headlight. You just opened up your bonnet, unscrewed the cover, took out the old halogen light bulb, popped in a new light bulb, £20, and it was fixed. Today's new car, that whole headlight LED, you're probably going to set you back £800, £900 just to fix one little bulb that's gone in your headlight. Trying to fix a modern car today is impossible unless you've got specialist tools. The days of fixing your car or servicing your car on your driveway, changing the oils, filters, etc., spark plugs, that's all gone, isn't it? Now you need to hook your car up to a computer and the computer will diagnose what's wrong with your car. And there's just some parts that are just so difficult to get to. It takes 3 days just to change a belt or something daft like that. There's no such thing as a cheap replacement part anymore. The part might cost you peanuts, £5, £10, but the labour and to get to that part might cost you £700, £800 just to change a £20 part. Help! Make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Modern cars. The price of them. Another thing, the price of modern cars. Who can afford them? I don't know about you, but round my way, all of these EVs, they all seem to be driven by boomers. You don't see many young people driving these EVs on the car. In fact, when I was young, like I said, in the UK you can drive at 16 years old, and when I was 16, it's mad thinking about it now that you're allowed 16-year-olds to be driving high-performance cars. It's absolutely bonkers, isn't it, when you think about it? But when I was young, we wanted to pass our driving test and drive on the road. And you used to see a lot of young people doing up their cars, putting bigger wheels on their cars, lowering the suspension on their cars, customising their cars, personalising their cars. It was everywhere. But today, I just don't see it. Hardly at all. I just can't remember the last time I saw a sort of 16-year-old driving a car. You still see young people, but it doesn't seem to be that enthusiasm for cars like there was back there in the 80s. Let me know your thoughts on today's cars. How do you think they compare, like I said, to olden cars? Which would you prefer? The more luxurious feel of a modern day car, or one of those old cars that used to rattle and squeak and smell of petrol, like coughing on wheels, weren't they, those old hot hatches of the 80s? Let me know your thoughts. Today's car or those old vintage cars? Which one do you prefer to see? Thanks for watching. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.